Last time on D&D. We catch up with our adventurers in an atmosphere they do not normally see themselves in, one of lavishness and relaxation. Mahadi, the Watering Emporium's gracious host, beckons them inside of his restaurant called the Infernal Rapture. When entering the establishment, Darius notices that something is off. Mahadi sees his confusion and explains that his restaurant exists in its own plane and that any entity which enters it implicitly agrees to a certain contract. This puts Darius on red alert as he goes to examine the entrance. In the wooden frame around the entrance is a contract inscribed in very small font. Darius takes a few moments to examine the contract thoroughly and comes to the conclusion that it is harmless. However, if one were to try to leave without having the means to pay their tab, they would become an indentured servant until their debt was fully reclaimed. Eager to enjoy the first decent meal they've had since entering Avernus, Darius rejoins the other adventurers, following Mahadi to their table. As Mahadi leads the adventurers through different rooms, the environment changes completely from one room to another. First, they are greeted with a tropical island paradise, complete with the sounds of crashing water and the smells of a calming ocean breeze. Next, they are atop a mountain, with freshly laid snow and nothing else but the wind's steady whistle. The adventurers enter the final room, an ancient elven forest with fey creatures darting about. Mahadi motions for the adventurers to sit and tells them he will be right back with some refreshments. Darius takes this moment to examine the room around him. He concludes that it is some type of powerful illusion magic that makes even Darius a little jealous. Eminem informs the other adventurers that it seems like Mahadi knows Lulu in some way. However, while some of the sights and smells of this place are vaguely familiar, Lulu has no recollection of Mahadi. Mahadi soon returns with a delicious-looking platter of various meats and cheeses, accompanied with a wide variety of wine to choose from. Mahadi tells the adventurers to dig in, and they do just that. Darius gets lost in his little food world, and Corona is mesmerized by the sheer selection of wine to choose from. A few minutes go by before Mahadi interjects, asking the adventurers what has brought them here to this wretched plane. The adventurers are rather vague about their dealings in Avernus, wishing not to divulge too much to a complete stranger. Mirth diverts the conversation to when the adventurers, with the aid of Mad Maggie, restored Lulu's memories, insinuating that Lulu and Mahadi had some type of relationship. Mahadi explains that he found and took Lulu in when she was wandering aimlessly and confused. However, Mirth sees through this lie and tries to cast detect thoughts on Mahadi. The situation escalates, which leads to both Mirth and Eminem getting thrown out of the restaurant for mouthing off to Mahadi. Once that mess is taken care of, Mahadi returns to the other adventurers, still appalled with Mirth and Eminem's behavior. Mahadi apologizes for making such a scene and insists that the remaining adventurers eat and drink their fill while telling him more of their travels. Without Mirth or Eminem there to hold him back, Corona starts talking about how they went to some guy's tower to get some type of hand. Mahadi looks taken aback a bit when he asks Corona if he meant the hand of Vecna. Corona confirms this, and Mahadi immediately asks him where it is, how did they find it, and who has it currently. As a moment passes and Mahadi regains his composure, he apologizes for his outburst and explains that the Hand of Vecna is a very rare and powerful artifact. He explains that he would reward whoever brought that artifact back to him very generously, with any 3 legendary magic items from his esteemed collection. Before negotiations continue any further, Endormer suggests that they should be done through their lawyer and motions to Darius. Darius is broken free from his food trance and asks Mahadi what kind of deal they are able to work out. Mahadi insists that for the information Corona had already provided about the location of the Hand of Vecna, that he give them an alternate path for the adventurers to complete their goals. Mahadi suggests teaming up with Bel, the previous archdevil of Avernus, to overthrow Zariel. Bel still holds a vicious grudge against Zariel for his demotion to Pit Fiend and would jump at any opportunity to regain his power. However, Mahadi cautions the adventurers that Bel can be quick-tempered, but if the adventurers make their intentions clear, he should be willing to work with them. An interesting offer to be sure, but one that must be talked about with his companions. Darius bids Mahadi farewell while Corona stays back to discuss some type of upfront payment to help the adventurers in retrieving the hand. Mahadi offers Corona the sword of the Dragon Slayer, which will quickly dispatch any dragon that meets its blade. Satisfied, Corona rejoins the other adventurers, but not before Mahadi gives Corona some magically imbued wine that will taste great outside of his restaurant. Darius tells the others about Mahadi's offer to get the adventurers in contact with Bel to potentially overthrow Zariel. The adventurers agree that having multiple options to accomplish their goals would be in their best interest. They also agree that whichever path they choose, whether it's confronting Zariel themselves with the hope that she will see reason, or teaming up with Bel to overthrow Zariel, they will need the Sword of Zariel to accomplish either of these plans. The adventurers also agree, although Eminem does so with no intention of following through, with the plan to deliver Mahadi the Hand of Vecna, should they come across it in their travels. With that discussion out of the way, the adventurers take their remaining time here to peruse the various shops within the Wandering Emporium. They first come upon an old and cranky hobgoblin's larva farm. The hobgoblin asks the adventurers if they want to buy anything, or just gawk at a hobgoblin down on his luck. Mirth and Eminem inquire about the larva, and the hobgoblin informs them that, after a day, a random creature will spawn from the larva, and that will be loyal to whoever bought it till death. He says that they are like a loot box. Some of them will be shit, but some of them might have something very useful. Mirth and Eminem both buy one and continue their perusing. They next come upon a blacksmith shop run by two salamanders. The adventurers inquire about their goods and are informed that they have a wide selection of rudimentary weapons and armor, along with several infernal war machine upgrades and enhancements. With Mirth footing most of the bill, they buy several weapon and armor upgrades for their vehicles. Lastly, they visit a barber shop with a peculiar woman running the store. After giving Mirth a nice trim, she informs her, since she is such a good person, that if she ever needs to be physically transformed into somebody else, all she would need to do is bring her 100 gold. As they leave, they take note of a place that sells and buys demon ichor, and one that can exchange gold for soul coins and vice versa. As they are about to leave, Mahadi comes over to finish his discussion with Darius about their agreement. Darius presents Mahadi with the contract, which stipulates that the adventurers have as much time as they see fit to locate the hand, retrieve the hand, and to return the hand to Mahadi. It also states that if any member of the adventurers' party does not stick to the contract, that they should be pursued individually. Lastly, it also guarantees the adventurers a notarized letter informing Bel that the adventurers wish to meet with him on Mahadi's behalf, and that hurting the adventurers would be like hurting Mahadi himself. Mahadi agrees to these stipulations and adds a competition clause, stating that he may send multiple groups of individuals to retrieve the hand. Once they come to an agreement, Mahadi slices open his hand and presses the blood against the parchment, indicating for the adventurers to do the same, which they all do. Mahadi then marks the location where the adventurers can find Bel on their map, and Mirth apologizes for her behavior previously, but Mahadi insists that it is all forgiven. He wishes the adventurers the best of luck in their travels and heads back inside. As the adventurers are about a mile away from the Wandering Emporium, a tormentor swings out from behind some rubble and begins following the adventurers. In the distance, a devil's ride flanked by two scavengers approaches the adventurers head-on. Will the adventurers flee? Will their new weapons see some use? Find out next time on D&D!